In this guide, why SAML is still the dominant enterprise SSO standard despite being 20 years old, how the IdP-initiated and SP-initiated flows work, what an assertion, a binding, and a profile actually mean, and the 5 vulnerability classes every SAML implementation must address. Identity Expert, powering you to be an expert in identity. Today we're unpacking SAML Security Assertion Markup Language, pronounced SAML. SAML 2 was ratified by OASIS in 2005. That makes it old enough to vote in some countries. And yet it still powers enterprise single sign-on for more than 80% of Fortune 500 companies. Every time a corporate employee clicks a tile in Okta, logs into Salesforce from their company portal, or hits a healthcare system with an Epic MyChart integration, there is an overwhelming chance a signed XML document called a SAML response is flying across the wire. SAML is not a relic you can ignore. It is the identity plumbing beneath most large enterprises, and understanding it deeply is non-negotiable if you work in enterprise identity. Let's break it down completely. Before we look at bytes, let's make the concept visual. Imagine your company's HR department issues you a notarized letter before you visit a partner office in another building. The letter says exactly who you are, which department you work in, what your access level is, and it has an official HR stamp that any partner can verify without calling HR directly. 3 details make the letter trustworthy. First, the stamp is unforgeable. Only HR can produce it. Second, the letter names the specific partner office it is addressed to. If you try to use the same letter at a different office, they will reject it because their name is not on it. Third, the letter carries an expiry time printed in bold. Yesterday's letter is worthless. That letter is a SAML assertion. HR is the identity provider, the IdP the partner office is the service provider, the SP. The unforgeable stamp is the XML digital signature. The named recipient is the audience restriction. The expiry is the not on or after timestamp. The whole SAML protocol is just a formalized, cryptographically enforced version of this HR letter, issued in XML, signed with a private key, and validated by every SP that trusts the issuing IdP. Here is the world before SAML. A large enterprise runs hundreds of applications: an ERP, a CRM, a payroll system, a developer portal, a benefits platform, a learning management system. Each one has its own user database, its own password policy, its own login page. An employee joins and it opens a ticket per application, sometimes dozens. The employee creates a unique password for each. Password fatigue sets in. Passwords get reused, written down, or reset weekly. The synchronization problem is even worse. The ERP's user database is updated when someone is hired, but the payroll vendor's copy lags by a day because the sync job runs overnight. And when someone is terminated, the race condition becomes a security incident. Which system provisions them first? Which system was missed? The enterprise needs a single source of truth for identity, and it needs every application to trust that source without each application managing credentials. SAML solves this by separating the job of authentication from the job of the application. The identity provider becomes the single authority. It authenticates users, then issues cryptographically signed XML assertions that any relying service provider can validate without talking back to the IdP. No credential sharing. No synchronization. One trust relationship per SP, established once by exchanging metadata. Let's walk the SP-initiated flow step by step. The user opens their browser and navigates directly to a service provider, say a Salesforce login URL. Salesforce does not manage passwords. It knows nothing about this user yet. So it constructs an AuthnRequest, an XML document saying, in effect, I am Salesforce, I need you to authenticate this user for me. Salesforce base 64 encodes and URL encodes this request and redirects the browser to the IdP's single sign-on endpoint via HTTP redirect binding. The IdP receives the AuthnRequest, parses it, and presents a login page to the user. The user authenticates at the IdP, which is the one place that holds real credentials. Once authentication succeeds, the IdP builds a SAML response. This is a signed XML document containing one or more assertions about the authenticated user. The IdP posts this SAML response back to the browser, which immediately auto-submits it as an HTML form post to the Salesforce Assertion Consumer Service URL, the ACS endpoint. Salesforce receives the SAML response and performs a strict validation sequence. It verifies the XML digital signature using the IdP's public certificate. It checks the issuer element matches the configured IdP. It reads the audience restriction inside conditions and confirms its own entity ID is listed. It checks not before and not on or after to ensure the assertion is currently valid. It reads the subject element to extract the name ID that identifies the user. And it reads the attribute statement to get additional claims like email, display name. And group memberships. If all checks pass, Salesforce creates a local session. the user is in without ever typing a password at Salesforce. Let's look at the structure of an actual SAML response. At the outermost level is the response element, carrying an ID attribute, the issueinstant timestamp, and an inResponse value that echoes back the AuthnRequest ID. This is what prevents replay. Inside response is a status element confirming success and then the assertion itself. The assertion has its own ID and issueinstant. It carries an issuer element naming the IdP's entity ID. The subject element contains the name ID, typically an email address or an opaque persistent identifier, and a subject confirmation element with a not on or after timestamp and the recipient URL that must match the ACS endpoint. The conditions element carries not before, not on or after, and the audience restriction with one or more audience values listing the SPs allowed to consume this assertion. The authn statement records what authentication method was used, password, MFA, smart card, and when. The attribute statement carries name-value pairs, attributes like given name, surname, male, and groups. The entire assertion, or sometimes the entire response, is wrapped with an XML digital signature using the RSA SHA-256 algorithm. The signature covers a canonical form of the XML, so whitespace normalization matters. The HTTP post binding delivers all of this as a base 64 encoded string in a hidden form field named SAML response, posted by the browser to the SP's ACS URL within milliseconds. SAML has a well-documented threat surface. 4 attacks deserve particular attention. First, XML Signature Wrapping or XSW. This is the most notorious class of SAML vulnerability. The attacker does not forge a signature. Instead, they take a valid signed SAML response and surgically add a second element to the document, for example, a second assertion with a different name ID, while moving the valid signature reference so the signature still verifies, but covers a different subtree than the application actually reads. A naive SP that validates the signature successfully and then reads the first assertion it finds in the document, rather than the assertion the signature covers, will authenticate the attacker's injected identity. Defense always resolve the signed element by ID reference, never by position. Second, assertion replay. A valid SAML response captured on the wire can be replayed until not on or after expires. Defense, the SP must maintain a cache of seen assertion IDs and reject duplicates. Third, audience confusion. An assertion issued for SPA can be presented to SPB if SPB does not check the audience restriction. Defense, always validate that your own entity ID appears in the audience element. Fourth, IdP-initiated CSRF. In IdP-initiated flows, there is no AuthnRequest and no in-response to correlation. A malicious page can trick a browser into posting a SAML response to an SP the attacker controls, or into completing a login as a different user. Defense, prefer SP-initiated flows and validate in response to strictly. Treat IdP-initiated as a higher-risk flow requiring additional controls. SAML 2 is a finished standard. There is no SAML 3 planned. OASIS froze the spec and the industry has moved on to defining new protocols rather than extending XML federation. But finished does not mean obsolete. SAML remains mandatory in regulated verticals. United States Federal Government Identity Federation under FICAM requires SAML 2. Healthcare integrations with Epic MyChart and enterprise EHR systems rely on it. Virtually every large enterprise SaaS vendor still ships a SAML integration, even when they also support OIDC. The modern successor is OpenID Connect, the same trust model, the same concept of an identity provider vouching for a user to a relying party, but expressed in JSON and JWT rather than XML, delivered over REST rather than browser form post, and far easier to implement in mobile and single-page applications. For most new greenfield deployments, OIDC is the right answer. The migration path from SAML to OIDC typically runs through an SP proxy layer, Shibboleth being the canonical open-source option, which accepts SAML assertions from legacy IDPs and reissues OIDC tokens to modern applications, bridging both worlds. Looking further ahead, passkeys and FIDO2 authenticators shift the authentication ceremony entirely to the end device, potentially eliminating password-based federation altogether. But the trust model, one authoritative identity source, many relying parties will persist regardless of the wire format. That is the idea SAML gave us, and it is not going anywhere. All primary sources cited in today's guide are listed on screen. You'll find direct links to the RFCs and specifications in the video description below. If this breakdown helped you understand the topic better, please subscribe to Identity Expert. We publish a new protocol deep dive every week. Thanks for watching. If there's a specific identity standard, authentication flow, or security protocol you'd like us to cover next, drop it in the comments below. We build our content based on what the community asks for. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode.